All right, Patriots, last problem on the review. You can see I'm on a new sheet of paper here, and the reason for that is that this particular problem, number 18, threw me for a loop for a little bit on the best way to create a conditional statement, and if-then, out of this one. Now, going into that, realize that there are several different ways that you could do this, and I would probably count most of them right, because I myself went through, like I said, 3 different versions of this before I got to what I'm doing now. Let's start off with just the diagram. An angle has 2 rays with only the endpoint in common. So we got an endpoint here. Let's label that point E. Let's make a ray, so ER. And over here we got another ray of ET. And sure enough, I've got a ray with only an endpoint in common. Now, when I first started trying to do this, I was trying to just go straight in the exact order of the sentence, just like we did all the ones above, where all the ones for the hypothesis were on the left and the conclusion were on the right. However, on this one, it just didn't ever sound right to me to do that. So what I decided to do was to take the last part of the sentence and make that my hypothesis, or the if section, and have just the angle be the then, or the conclusion. Now that might sound kind of crazy, but here's how I'm going to word it. So if 2 rays have only an end point in common, then they form an angle. Now this is one where I did have to use a little bit of grammar jujitsu to make the whole thing work out. But again, whenever I read this sentence, it makes a whole lot more than some of the other things I was doing, like saying that if an angle has 2 rays and an endpoint in common, then, and then I ran out of stuff. Or if an angle has 2 rays and they have only an endpoint in common, which is kind of a tautology, which we've covered that word only briefly. Tautology means that it is always true. So an angle always has 2 rays and they always have an endpoint in common. I didn't like any of them. Again, if you mess up, if you do something similar to that, I'm probably going to be a little bit more lenient on a problem that is this difficult. But I just wanted to show you guys the right way of doing that. And, well, I say right, a right way of doing that. And, yeah, just do your best on stuff like this. Good luck on the test.